Grade 12, let's look at what we call scales. Scales, we look at the relationship between measurements on paper and in real life. If you do not use real life, we say it's actual measurements. All right, these are the scales. Then how many types do we have? Types of scales. We have two. One called the number scale, which is written in a ratio form. Other people can call it a ratio scale. It will always start with a 1 is to a given value. In most cases, it's 50,000. This is how it looks like. Then we look at a bar scale. The common name is the linear scale. Where we have such scales from 0 to 120 probably. Another one could look like this. Another one could look like that. We have 0, 5, probably 7. All of a sudden you have 12. Yeah, another one could also look like this with simple lines in between. Something like that. These they all fall in the same. We use them the same way. All right. After looking at the scales, we can also look at the meaning. Sometimes they ask, what's the meaning of the scale? As we shall look at the examples that are given below. All right. The meaning of the scale usually is asked when it's in the ratio form. For example, 1 is to 450. And if they ask for the meaning of the scale, very well, this is in 2, this is the left, and this is the right. Whatever is on the left will always be measurements on paper. All right. The reason why I write paper because even the map is found on the paper. We say measurements on the map. The left-hand side represents measurements on the map or paper. Then the right-hand side represents measurements in real life. If not, you can say actual measurements or measurements on the ground. You can say that. All right. Reality. So this is it. So the meaning of the scale, for example, the meaning of this scale here, we shall say 1 unit on paper represents 450 units in real life. The reason why I'm using units is because don't mess up. You can't use here 1 centimeter representing kilometers. So if you've used centimeters here, also the side it will be centimeters. If you've used millimeters, even this side it will be millimeters. Why? Because the only units we can have on paper are centimeters and millimeters. We cannot talk of inches because we don't deal with inches in South Africa. We look at metric. All right, we shall see. There's one more part that we need to look at. All right, now if a scale is given as 1 is to 200, this 200, another name for the 200, it's what we call the scale factor. The number by which the measurements on paper will increase, or a number by which the original measurements will reduce. Remember, usually when we remove or when we use scales, we are trying to enlarge a given diagram correctly or reduce a given given measurements of a real object. You understand? We either reduce or increase. So now we're going to see how do scales work. For example, if let's say someone has measured 40 millimeters on the map, you're going to use the same scale as 1:200. So 40 meters on the map, they ask you what is the actual distance. Actual distance. Now, if it's on the map, usually look at the distance and the final answer as to what? Kilometers. Okay, let's continue. What do we say? You come, write the scale down. That's the number one thing that you do. 1:200. So 1:200. This means one on the map. So if for you have got 40 millimeters, what will it be in real life? You don't know. Usually leave it as a box. What we do, we cross multiply. So we end up having 200 times 40. These were millimeters. Also here you get 8,000 millimeters. Now, 8,000 millimeters, we want it to become actual. What do we need? Kilometers. So millimeters to kilometers we divide by a million. Divide by a million. So this will die with that will die with that. So you end up having 0,008 kilometers. That means it's a short distance, but this is how we do it. So we keep it that way. All right. This was A. Another example, part B. If the distance, if the distance from point A to B is 5 kilometers, what is the distance on the map? We are using the same scale. So what we do, we still call on the same scale. So you bring the 5 kilometers this side. So we continue and we shall say, what will it be in real life? Sorry, what will it be on paper? So what you do, this multiplies that, you use 200 box equals to 5 kilometers. So we divide through by 200, divide through by 200. This goes with that. You remain with 5 divided by that, you end up with 0,025. These are kilometers. It's either you change it to millimeters or you change to centimeter. If you change to millimeters, you're going to multiply by a million. If you change centimeters, you're multiplying by 100,000. Yeah, this simply means it's this much. And here it will be 2,500 centimeters. That's how we do it. So when you look at this, mere looking at this, what comes in your head? Now, if you are changing from real life to measurements on paper, what do? We divide by the scale factor. Then if it's from paper to real life, we multiply by the scale factor. I'm going to show you just right now. You see here, we are changing it to paper. We divided. When you look at this, we are changing it in real life. What did we do? We multiplied. multiplied. So paper to real life, we multiply. We are dividing by this because we wanted it to become, but the scale factor here. Here we are dividing by the scale factor. All right. Activity one, advantage and let's look at activity number one here and we see what is the name of the scale. Use it in diagram A and B. The scale is this. So it's a number. A number scale. All right. Measure with your ruler. Please take note of that. Take note of that. The question tells you to measure with your ruler. So I measured here at A. I got 80 millimeters. And the same A, this other side in diagram B, I got 120 millimeters. That's what I got. So here, A, I have 80, and the other one I have. Please, you usually use millimeters because millimeters are a little bit perfect. Calculate the real life. Now we go. Calculate the real life of side A for both diagrams, A and B, using the same scale. What do we say? We are looking for real life, which is the actual measurement. So what are we saying? We shall say the scale is given to us 1:50. Here A we've got 80. What is it in real life? This is a house, ne? So it has to be in meters. So we cross multiply. So here it became 800 times 50. It became 4,000. These are millimeters. We want in real life the length of the house can be meters. So we divide by 1,000 and we have 4 meters. Oh, sorry. B. For B, still the same story. We have what that much, but for it, we measured it as 120. So when I multiply, I end up having 6,000. 6,000 what? These I measured them in millimeters, so these are millimeters. If I want this to become, we'll divide it by 1,000 and it becomes 6 meters. 6 meters. Is the side, is the side, is the side length the same in real life? I'm answering question number 1.4. It's no. What could you deduce about the scale if the diagram is resized? Now, what we'd say, the scale reduces. Scale reduces. And numeric scale is given as 1:100. Explain what the scale means. We say this will mean 1 unit, 1 unit on paper equals 100 units in real life. Mr. Smith wants to renovate his living room by putting a new carpet. The area of the living room is 26,68 meters squared. The floor plan of the living room is shown below. Use the plan to answer the questions that follow. This is the living room that you want. So What does the scale? We've already looked at this. 1:100, 1 unit on paper, 100 units in real life. The length of the living room is this much. Use the scale given to determine the actual length. Give your answers in what? Meters. So the scale given is 1:100, which is also here, which is also there. So we shall say 1:100. So we've measured in centimeters. What should it be? Cross multiply. The answer becomes so we end up having 730 centimeters. The answer is wanted in meters. So centimeters to meters. What do you do? Divide by. We shall divide this by 100. Answer comes back to. The answer comes back to this, but this will be what? Meters. Determine the cost of carpeting the living room if the carpet cost is if the carpet cost is 149 per meter squared. So now this is what we are talking about today. Before you look for it, do you know the length or the area? Okay, the area of the living room is already given up there. You check it here. It's here. So what will it be? We shall say times 149. 26,68 times 149. We end up having the answer as 3,975.32 cents. All right. 1.5, it asks the scale about it's 1:20. Explain the meaning of the scale. We've already seen that. 1 unit on map equals 20 units in real life. If the scale, sorry, if the length of an item is, if the scale, if the, if the length of an item on the map is 185 millimeters, determine the actual length of this item in meters. So we're going to use the scale here. So we say actual length, you say so we shall say 1:20. The length on the plan is this much. So this comes this side. Why? It's on the map paper. This is real life. So determine the actual length. So this is what it is. 185 times 20. The actual length is so this is it, and you have it in millimeters. We have this in millimeters. So the actual length in meters we divide by 1,000, and answer becomes what's this one millimeters? Study the two kinds of content as give the in order the names of the two scales in order. So one is called what? Basket. Mm. We said we have a basket and we also have a number scale. If in under the names we have a basket and number scale. Someone might say it's a ratio scale.